Hey everybody, welcome to week number 14 of Church with Jess. I think it's 14. Wow, 14 weeks. That seems unreal, doesn't it? Well, thank you for coming back for today's lesson or lessons. I hope everybody is doing well out there and just really working on your self-work and your self-care. So today we are back to the Russian Gypsy fortune-telling cards deck, which is the one where you lay out all the cards and you match the images. So I want to start with just reading a little bit from the guidebook about gypsies, or about Russian gypsies. And I have become aware that I guess that the word gypsy is actually like a derogatory term for the group of people that it's represented by, which is so interesting to me because I have only ever used that word like having feelings of love and warmth and understanding and like a connection to that way of life. So I do apologize if that is in fact an offensive word. But this is called the Russian Gypsy fortune-telling card deck, and it based on the culture of the gypsies that were in Russia. So I just want to read like a little bit about the cultural tradition of gypsy fortune telling, just from the book, Svetlana Alexandrovna Tuchkov. I totally butchered that. I'm so sorry. Okay. Gypsies in Russia have always been renowned for their fortune-telling abilities. This is due to their chosen lifestyle, freedom of movement physically, emotionally, and spiritually. One of the best descriptions of them is found in the poem Gypsies, written by the 19th century Russian poet Alexander Sergeyevich Pushkin. He described their lively freedom, their clamorous wandering through Bessarabia and the steppes, present-day southwest USSR. They led a simple, quite poor, yet peaceful existence. The plot of the poem reveals the essence of gypsy freedom. Aleko, a fugitive from civilization, is found by the young gypsy Zemfira, who takes him as a lover and brings him into the gypsy camp. He's very happy living the free life of wandering over the steppes and performing with a tame bear in various villages. Zemfira asks him if he regrets leaving the civilized world, the large buildings, fancy clothes, feasts, and beautiful girls. Aleko answers, "Regret what, if only you knew? If you could imagine the lack of freedom in the suffocating cities. There, people in crowds, fenced in, cannot breathe the morning breeze, nor the spring scent of the meadows. They are ashamed of love, persecute ideas, sell their own freedom, bow their heads in front of idols, and beg for money and chains. What did I throw away? The agitation of betrayals, the sentence of prejudice, the crowd's senseless persecution, or brilliant disgrace." However, the idyllic happiness does not last. After 2 years and 1 child, Zemfira has found another youth to love. She sings Aleko a song to tell him of her new love. "Old husband, formidable husband, stab me, burn me. I am steadfast. I fear neither the knife nor fire. I hate you, despise you. Another I love, loving I die. Following the song, she tells him he is free to be angry. Aleko turns to Zemfira's father, who relates to him his own love for Zemfira's mother, who likewise fell in love with another and left him after 1 year. However, the father looks at the situation philosophically, comparing a young woman's love to the wandering moon. Look, under the distant firmament wanders the unrestricted moon. Passing, she pours her radiance on all nature alike. She peeps in any cloud, illuminating it magnificently. And now, she has crossed to another one. And that one, too, she will not visit for long. Who will show her her place in the sky, saying, "Stop there"? Who will say to the heart of a young maid, "Love only one, do not change"? Aleko can't accept this rationalization, and when he catches Zemfira with her lover, he murders both of them. The gypsies do not punish him, but they no longer want him in their camp. He was not born to their way of life because he wanted freedom of choice for himself, but couldn't accept it in Zemfira. The poem has been retold to illustrate the gypsies' freedom of thought and action, which made them good fortune tellers. Not being restricted by laws and rules of civilization, they could easily see through the shams of people's lives in cities and villages. People usually get into dilemmas when they're trying to please or follow someone else's ideas, rather than remain in touch with their own inner being. The gypsies, loving honesty more than anything, were able to strip away the falseness of people's actions, and in this way help them in solving their problems, which is the ultimate goal of fortune telling. The gypsies were always welcome into the villages and cities. Their colorful, gay caravans brought diversion and entertainment to the inhabitants. Along with songs, entertainment, and trading, fortune telling was the most sought after activity. Besides their ability to look at things as they really are and not be afraid to voice these things, they also had an uncanny ability to foretell the future. Zemfira, in the poem, knows that she will be killed, yet this does not deter her from following her heart. This ability to foretell their own and other people's futures made them desirable visitors wherever they went. The gypsies used a variety of tools in their fortune-telling, from crystal balls, tea leaves, palm reading, playing cards, to the present set of cards. Being closer to nature than city folks, they had simplified the complexities of life into simple symbols as illustrated in the cards. Each picture symbolizes a major theme. For example, heart equals love, moon equals peace, star equals destiny, etc. The pictures on the cards are symbols that activate the intuitive parts of our brain. Our brains have logical and intuitive capabilities. Society demands logical thought and action that produce an orderly environment and yet at the same time stifle the soul. Through the cards, the gypsies could unlock the intuitive sides of people's natures. Not only could the gypsies interpret the cards, but the person having the reading done would intuitively know what the card was referring to. He or she could internally process the information or could discuss it with the gypsy or with friends to further clarify the meaning. Whether the person followed the advice or not was up to the individual. However, having released the intuitive side of his or her nature, a happy, carefree atmosphere prevailed and everyone enjoyed themselves. Because gypsies loved freedom so passionately, they were persecuted by despotic leaders such as the Tsar and Nazis, and later by Stalin. Their former lifestyle of wandering has been curtailed, and many of their traditions have been lost. However, some gypsies can still be found in the USSR today. Most of them are prospering under the present administration. Their main activity is still fortune-telling, although some have added the selling of miracle creams and cosmetics to their repertoire. People continue to want good fortune and miracles, which the gypsies are happy to provide. So that's just like a little bit about this deck and, you know, why it is and what the symbols represent and everything. This obviously was written quite a while ago, I think in the early 90s. So, yeah, it's a little behind the times, but I think, like, the point is still accurate. Okay, so let's get into the reading. Whoops. So, I've been thinking a lot, actually, like, over the past week, and how, you know, I've been talking a lot throughout the weeks about the proverbial box that, you know, we put ourselves in, or society puts us in. And so I just wanted to talk a little bit about that before we go into this reading and into the questions that I had for this session. But the point of these teaching is to help get you out of the proverbial box, not only to get you out, but to help you understand that there never was one. It was all in your head. This is called being awakened. And once you wake up, it's very near impossible to go back to sleep. So be warned. Even those who claim to be outside the box are still creating the box for themselves, trying so consciously to be different from everybody else. The only way to truly get to your most authentic self is to live your life like there is no box, because there isn't, and there never was. Forget about the damn box. Forget about it. It doesn't exist. It's an illusion in your mind. We talked about this last week. If we spend our whole lives based on whether or not we think we live inside or outside a box, then we can never truly be free. So yeah, think about that and just carry that with you and into the next week, and we'll discuss it again. But you know, just try to think about how, you know, all of us do it or have done it in the past, like try to fit ourselves into this box that isn't actually there. So it's just like we give ourselves these just like unrealistic ideas, and try to mold and shape ourselves into these instead of like really and truly just getting to our most authentic selves, which is why we're here. So we need to just stop worrying about the idea of this box, like, altogether. Some of the thoughts that I had while kind of forming my question was just, why do we allow fear to consume us and to dictate our lives? If we spend our whole lives living in fear, then we willingly put ourselves in a cage and we totally miss the point of our soul's existence. You know, we're willingly just complying and just saying, okay, like we give in to fear. We're going to allow it to control us, and we're not going to live our lives based on, you know, authenticity. We're going to live them based on what we're being told is real and what is fiction. So, my question, I kind of had like a couple questions that kind of all form into one idea. How do we collectively move from a fear-based way of thinking to a more awakened and constructive way of thinking? What is the spark that will light the fire under our asses, so to speak? How do we become more aligned with our authentic selves? So yeah, that was kind of like my question that I was meditating on going into this reading that we have today. So the first match came up kind of like right away, which is kind of an intense one. The snake, I don't know if you can see it. It's so hard to be able to tell what you guys are seeing when I flip my camera around. I stopped filming on YouTube because I was having too many like technical issues with it. So anyways, the snake. The snake represents an attack by someone, and its period of influence is immediate to middle. So anywhere from like something that just happened to something that's going to happen in the next, couple months or so. So it's an attack by someone. The general meaning of this picture is it's actually a strongly negative picture that warns you of evil forces. Generally, it means some force outside of us influencing our life in a negative way. However, the snake may also be seen in a positive light. Venom is used in medicine to cure people. Just as the snake sheds its skin when it outgrows it, so the snake symbolizes our giving up one type of life for another. This may be the result of getting more knowledge than we want, which forces us to change our values. That's kind of like just what I was talking about in my kind of thoughts in the beginning, telling you that, once you wake up or start to wake up, but you're having an awakening, it's really, really tough to go back to sleep. Once you have all this knowledge and understanding, it's really hard to turn it off. So, I think that we're in this great shift, and, most of us have been forced to like just look at our lives totally differently. And I think I think the snake is actually the perfect picture because of the fact that it symbolizes like a shedding of the skin and a rebirth, and that's literally like what all these teachings have been about, to just help like ease you through that process, because we're all the world is going through a rebirth right now, which means everything that's inhabiting it is also experiencing this, and we can choose to turn a blind eye to it, or we can choose to be open and receptive to it. And I guess the point is like how, with so many people still asleep, so to speak, how can they become receptive to it? What is it going to take for that? So I kind of like looking at the snake card in that light. There's also a lot of, in the beginning talking about the negative aspect of it is the negative force. It's a negative force coming from the outside, and that's really where the idea of fear is coming from. It's coming from outside forces, and we choose to accept that or reject it. So we got this image actually in position 4, which is talking about a bitter jealousy. This may be your own feeling or someone else's. Either way, the emotion is not a healthy one. Jealousy is called the green-eyed monster because of the destruction it can cause. It distorts the vision of the person who is jealous, making him or her miss opportunities for making good friendships or enduring relationships. In a love situation, jealousy doesn't show how much you love the other person, but how insecure you are. Should the picture refer to someone else's being jealous of you, try to diffuse the jealousy. Flaunting your good fortune in front of others is never a good idea. Be honest and appreciative of the other person's good qualities. Once people realize that we're all in the same boat, jealousy may disappear. Right now, during these times that we are in, and with so many people living in fear, a fear of the unknown, of just a fear of what's going to happen to them, I think that it's more important to just check on those people, and you don't need, if you're doing really, really well, that's really great. But, there's no need to flaunt that to everybody that you come into contact with, because some people just need a hand in healing. So, jealousy is a really negative emotion that it's called the green-eyed monster. It takes control of you. I think maybe all of us have probably experienced jealousy in one form of another at some point in our lives, and it really does take control of your entire mind, and you really miss out on a lot of things when you are that insecure within yourself. So just be aware of what you're putting out there and what you're projecting, and just remember that everything comes back. So you decide, what you're going to allow to come back to you. So the second image that I matched was, messing up my cards, was the heart. And the heart, it's starting to get I'm losing light, so hopefully I have enough light in the background, but the heart, the period of influence is middle, so in a few months from now, about say like 1 to 3 months, maybe 2 to 4 months. The heart is the symbol for love, of course. The heart has been a symbol of love for thousands of years. The heart is life itself. By loving, we give life to our lives. Love is more than that of a man and a woman, and it can also be the love for our parents, children, country, work, or anything that deeply touches our feelings, which we call the heart, the feelings in the heart. And the emotions, it's all connected. The heart picture gives guidance to the emotions that we say come from the heart. So we got it in position 1, which says, your happiness is in the answer of the person you love. In this position, the picture is somewhat negative in that it tells you that a love relationship depends not only on your being in love, but also on the other person's reciprocating. It usually implies that the other person is not aware of your feelings or does not feel as passionate about the relationship as you do at this time. This is the time to redouble your efforts to be attractive, loving, and giving in order to ignite the passion in your partner. Demanding love will not work, but gentle, subtle means will help. This is the time for cozy romantic dinners, perfume, music, flowers, and lots of time and attention for each other. If you want to be treated lovingly, then model the behavior for your partner. Remember, we project, and when we project, we manifest. Project our thoughts, we manifest our desires. That's what it means by the model. That if you want to be treated a certain way, then model the behavior for your partner. If this is your first love and the other person doesn't even know you exist, don't despair. Double your efforts to be noticed, as the picture does indicate that love is a possibility. However, if none of your efforts succeed, then take solace in the Russian proverb, first love is like first teeth. It comes with pain. Comes with pain. That's the truth. It can be. Depending on your situation. I think everything is situational. But, on one hand, you could look at that like if you have been quarantined all this time, all these long weeks. I know it's been over 14 weeks because I started these videos after we had already been in quarantine for a few weeks, I think. So, who are you quarantining with? Are you with, your significant other? And have you been starting to maybe just get comfortable in your situation and kind of stopped caring or showing that you care about yourself and that you care about that person, or maybe they've stopped showing that to you. Because we tend to take those things for granted, right? Things that we're just comfortable with that are just there every day. So don't take anything for granted. If you care about the relationship that you're in, you always have to nurture it. So also I think it can be talking about the relationship that you have with yourself, which has been a big theme over these weeks of lessons, is self-love and self-care, and just seeking your truth from within to become your most authentic self. And you can do, you have to, you hear people say, like, you have to love, or the philosophy that you have to love yourself before you can love anyone else completely. And I think that's so true. And that we can go back to the last card talking about jealousy, and people that are jealous all the time just really don't have that self-love, because they've allowed themselves to become so insecure that it ends up ruining a relationship, when you don't have trust for somebody. So the first step is to trust and know yourself and be confident within yourself, so that you can project that onto the situation that you want to be in. Those are my words of wisdom for you. And we can also look at this. The heart obviously just has such a broad meaning for love, but or love is a broad idea, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. Because we can also be looking at how we treat our planet, and that's something that I like to talk about every week, because I just think that it's so incredibly important to take care of our planet. We take care of the homes that we live in, so why don't we take care of the home that we all live on? She provides for us, and we have to take care of her so that she will continue to provide for us. So you could look at this love as being a love for your planet and for the true home of all of us. And we need to show it a lot more support. And maybe we need to dig deeper into ourselves and learn to love ourselves more, so that we can love her more as well. Because, we got ourselves here, and this is our last opportunity, a slap in the face, to get ourselves out of this situation and into a better one. So, the next match, I believe, is the bouquet. The bouquet. So the period of influence is immediate to short. So within something that could have just happened, or up to maybe 2 to 4 weeks from now. So the bouquet is a symbol for happiness. A bouquet of flowers is the reward that you get for spending many hours in the garden, planting, weeding, fertilizing, watering, and so forth. Thus, this picture speaks of the final success that you achieve due to your efforts. It's not a free gift of nature, but something that you have put an effort into earning. And to me, the garden symbolizes the self once again. And if you think of yourself, your whole entire self, not just your body, but your soul and your mind and your spirit and everything that's connected. If you think of yourself as a garden, you know that you have to tend to it. You have to spend hours in it. You have to take care of it and nurture it and water it and feed it, and just that's when you see it thrive. And the same goes for ourselves. If we don't do all this work and put all this work into ourselves, then we will not be able to grow and thrive in the ways that we were truly designed to. So we have it in position 2, which symbolizes winnings, a monetary gain. This could mean an increase in salary, some new income from investments, or even winnings from a lottery ticket. However, it doesn't mean that you'll receive money every time this picture comes up, only that this is an opportune time to gain money. This would be a good time to ask for a raise, to evaluate your investment portfolio, or to buy a lottery ticket. As the Russians say, under a stationary rock, water doesn't flow. A rock can symbolize stability, yet it can also stand for rigidity. Wow. Sometimes you have to let go, take a chance in order to win. If you don't buy a lottery ticket, you can't win the prize. This can be, I think, like I've talked about this before, how we can see this time as just like this great time of creativity and to be productive and to create new things and new ideas and new just ways of life. This is like such an opportune time to do anything that could bring you, potentially bring you good fortune, and it doesn't necessarily have to be monetary, but it can be, and basically it's like if you don't put in the effort, nothing's going to happen. If you just sit around expecting the universe to just drop things in your lap, we think of the law of attraction, and we think you can just sit here and be like, oh, I want this, and that you're just going to get it and it's going to fall in your lap. Well, that's not how it works. I guess you kind of have to show that you are worthy of it and that you deserve it. So you got to put in the effort to really get the things that are coming to you and to be able to receive those things into your authentic life. So yeah. It's like when you want for not for wanting, not for yourself, like in the poem in the beginning, like when you want something only for yourself, but if, it's not okay for somebody else, then, that just makes you a hypocrite, So nobody, we're all free, but you have to allow people to live their lives in a way in which they're free, and you have to love somebody in that same way. Nobody wants to be in a cage. Anyways, I'm getting off on a tangent, but this is a very opportune time to maybe take those chances and try to change your direction, to be more aligned with the path that you feel you're truly meant to be on. A lot of us have been given all this time, and we're not able to, do the things that we normally do. So it could be a time to just kind of reassess your situation, and that's a time that it's like super crucial to really, really sit with yourself and search within yourself and find the answers that you're looking for, because remember, they are already in there. So this is a really, really great time. This whole process and this shifting of the world has been a great time to work on yourself. And I will tell you that it is never too late to start. It doesn't matter your age and numbers and years, and none of that matters at all. You can literally start at any point in your life. You can start a spiritual journey and practice and learn things about yourself. We're never too old to stop learning, so don't use that as an excuse. Like, we're all capable. We're all powerful. The next image is the boy, which I think I've told you before is just like one of my favorites because it makes me think of my brother, and that it's also number 13 in the order of things in this book. So, which is a number that my family's kind of used to represent him since he passed. So I always like getting the boy, no matter what position it is, whether it's taken as positive or negative. It just upon seeing the image, it makes me think of my brother. And it represents a sense of adventure, which he definitely had. So the boy is immediate to short, which just happened, is about to happen, or within the next few weeks. The general meaning of the card is that the boy signifies youth, energy, and adventure. Whether we're young or not, the picture refers to our childish sense of adventure or playfulness. It's the time to behave like a young boy, to trust new people, and look for the adventure in everyday things. We need to let go of our adult roles at times and seek the simple pleasures that we used to enjoy as youths. I think there's a lot of people there that have been able to get back in touch with that side of themselves, you know, in these times, and they've been spending more time with their families, you know, which I think has been really great. But it's always, you know, sometimes we do get too caught up in our adult lives, and all we care about is really, at the end of the day, is making that paycheck, and if it's going to be enough to survive in the modern world. And we completely have just become just cogs in the machine, really, because that's not what life's about, you know. We put way too much weight on all of these things, and we always want more and more and more and more. But I think the more we have, the easier it is to let slip, or just slip away from our true purpose and our true calling, and from that spirituality, the spiritual center. You know, we forget who we are, and we start to get so enamored with just how much stuff we have, and how that somehow gives us some sort of status in this world, when that's just again, that world, I guess, is a farce, like I talked about last week. It's not real. It's not authentic. And it's okay to leave that world behind and start on a new path and start a new journey to discover your most authentic self, because you have to start somewhere. You have to start somewhere, and we tend to take ourselves way too seriously, in just the boundaries that we're given in society. And sometimes we do need to just regress back to that child that we used to be, and just remember, what things were like and how we reacted to our problems and etc. And just see things more from a child's perspective. Look at our lives from a child's perspective, instead of through the eyes that we're seeing them through every single day, through our adult eyes. Because remember, we are still that person, that we are still that kid, that's still within us, that can't go away. So let it out, unleash it. So we have it in position 4, which talks about an unexpected meeting or date. This is interesting, going with the heart, that was talking about kind of reigniting your love and passion. An unexpected meeting or date. This could simply be running into an old friend, coworker, neighbor, or an old flame. However, the picture can also mean that someone will call you unexpectedly for a date. In either case, you will have an enjoyable time. The picture could also refer to running into someone who has inflicted pain or hurt you in some way in the past. However, when they see you, you will be at your best, surprising them. You will get a childish sense of pleasure at having conquered your fears and hurts and being able to see the other person objectively. Talking about conquering fears, which is a big theme. It's been kind of an underlying theme, but it's definitely my theme for this reading and for this week. And I think that's something, you know, if you are doing this work and you're taking this time of stillness and slowness to truly get on a spiritual path and find, you know, get closer to your authentic self, you know, when you do see people that you knew before you found that path, they tend sometimes, you know, some people might be aligned with that and be happy for you and be want to know more and want to talk about it, and some people are going to totally shun it. And I think those people goes back to the snake and talking about jealousy. Those people just haven't found their way yet. And seeing you so happy and positive and glowing and radiant, you know, they, instead of feeling happy for you, they feel annoyed with you or whatever negative emotion towards you, because they're not there themselves in their lives, and maybe they have a sense of longing for that, but are not open and receptive to it. They have closed their minds off to it. And when you live your life like that, and you live your life so closed-minded and unwilling to see other people's points of view, and you close yourself off to where you only have one certain type of people around you, as just people that are agreeable with you, and then you're never really learning anything, and you get stuck in this mundane existence. And for those of us who aren't living our lives like that, and we're living more authentic lives, it's really hard for somebody like that to be able to see that in a positive way. So I think that's I don't know, you know, that could be referring to that, if we're talking about that last portion. Otherwise, I don't know, who knows, maybe some new love relationships will form in these times. It's, you know, very possible. Anything's possible. So the next image is, I believe it's the castle. Yes, the castle. Okay, so the castle is basically stands for security. If you think about a castle and its walls and how well they're built to keep things from coming out, from getting out. It's the period of influence is life, so it's a life card. It could represent your entire life or just a short time, but it's something that will probably be a theme throughout your life. So the general meaning of the picture is basically material security. A castle has always meant safety and protection from one's enemies. Traditionally, it referred to a heavily walled building, fortified to protect the inhabitants from enemy attack. As civilization progressed, people no longer needed the strong fortification, but the idea of safety and refuge has remained. The saying, "a home is a person's castle," still has meaning today. A castle had to be built using sound methods in order to be a place of safety. Likewise, a home can be a refuge only if one puts in enough time and effort to make it a comfortable place. Thus, the meaning of this picture is that one will get one's just rewards, but it is due to one's earnest efforts in life and not to chance. I was talking about that in an earlier card, how, you know, your rewards are due to your efforts, not just like telling the universe that you want something. It's due to your earnest efforts. In the past, a strong castle provided security and the opportunity to live one's natural life to the end. The picture is a life picture. That is, its prediction spans your life. It represents those aspects of your life that will provide an optimum environment for you to live in. So, We have it in position 3, which says a long life. This does not mean that you can take foolish chances or not take care of yourself. A castle can deteriorate or be captured by the enemy if one is not careful. In the same way, you have to be protective of your health and environment to ensure that you will live out your years. A healthy lifestyle with work, relaxation, and enjoyment of family and friends leads to longevity. The picture is reassuring in that it implies that what you are doing for your health and welfare is positive and will lead to a long life. So I really truly believe that, once you get yourself on this awakened and spiritual path, and you start really taking care of yourself, and then it just becomes second nature to take care of yourself, and you start nurturing other aspects of your life. You start shedding the layers and shedding the skin, so to speak, of all of your past lives, and you start to find your way to your authentic self, which that's kind of the question that I was thinking about before I did this reading, was just, how do we drop the fear and the living fear-based lives in order to get to our most authentic selves and drop all of the facades, all this stuff, and get to the root of what is really important. So I think if you do those things, then there's a possibility to have a long and healthy and prosperous life. So the next match is the horse, I believe. Yes, the horse. The horse is immediate, so this is something that, could have just happened or is about to happen. It's a symbol for an emotional upheaval. The horse is a very powerful animal. From earliest times, humans have admired the intelligent, sensible, noble, proud horse. In Greek mythology, the first horse, the winged steed Pegasus, sprang from the union of the god Poseidon and Medusa. Pegasus, together with his rider, were instrumental in exterminating the Chimera, a voracious, fire-eating monster that symbolizes humankind's passions and basic earthly nature. At another time, Pegasus stamped his hoof to create the fountain of the muses. Thus, the horse has evolved as a powerful symbol of enlightenment and extermination of evil forces. At the same time, the taming of the horse led to tremendous upheavals in the world. Once the horse was used for transportation, great migrations resulted. But even more significant was human use of the horse for military purposes. Civilizations like that of the Aztecs were destroyed by a relatively few Spaniards riding horses. The horse can symbolize either intelligence and enlightenment or brutal, destructive powers. And I think it's all in the nature of the person that, is controlling things. We all want to be, I think a lot of us want to be wild and free, just as the horse does. And I think it's helped civilization in a lot of ways to have an ally like the horse. But also, in the wrong hands, the horse has been used for great evil as well. In the cards, the horse stands for our emotions. In the same way that the horse is powerful, so are our emotions. They drive us to success or despair, depending on how we learn to use them. The picture warns us of a powerful emotional experience that is to occur. It may be a happy event or a sad one. It is up to us whether to react to it in a positive or negative way. So we have it in position 1, which says you will experience a vivid or traumatic life event. This can be either a good or a bad experience. The picture has appeared for people when they were about to get married, have a baby, get a new job, or get divorced, fired, scared, or let down emotionally by someone. It is hard for the person doing the reading to know what the picture refers to, but usually the person whose fortune is being read has an idea. The vivid experience, so you know what it means to you, and I know what it means to me. The vivid experience could be meeting or hearing an inspiring person who can change your whole outlook on life. It could be coming across a religious message or an intellectual idea that you find inspiring. You will feel uplifted and happy. Even meeting a famous actor or singer can cause the same euphoric feeling. The picture may also refer to outside events in the political, economic, or even environmental spheres that we react to emotionally. This has to do with how we react to things and how we feel about things, basically our emotions. And this is saying that something's going to happen or something has just happened that is very vivid or very traumatic. And that could be something different for all of us. It could be collectively what we're experiencing with the pandemic and everything that goes along with that. Or it could be an awakening that you've had. It could be a positive experience as well. You might have been on this journey and searching within yourself and just had this amazing awakening within that has just shifted you and rocked you. And, so in that, it can be a more positive and happy experience. But you also, may have experienced trauma in your life, and I think it's very possible. Any of us can experience trauma at any time, really. It doesn't matter whether there's a pandemic going on or not. It's just basically it's how you interpret it and it's how you react to it. Do you react to it or do you respond to it? And that's what we were talking about last week is I was just touching base on something that Teal Swan had said about responding versus reacting and what the difference is, and how we tend to, when something happens, it's easy for us to react just out of our emotions, which is what the horse represents, instead of really allowing ourselves to process something first before we react. Just take a step back and think about all the emotions that whatever it is causing us to feel, and why, acknowledging why we're feeling the way that we're feeling, and then being able to go back and then respond to the situation, whatever it might be. So I think that this is a card that could be just deeply personal for each and every individual one of us. So maybe that's something for you to explore later after, we've finished this reading, to gain some insight and clarity on your situation and on your life. I've talked about this before as well, and I was telling, I have a new friend who's from Romania, and she's awesome, and I love her, and I talked to her for a long time this morning. We're on our time zones, she's 10 hours ahead of me, so we have to find times that we can talk that we're both awake. Fortunately for her, I'm a night owl. But I just bring her up because I was talking to her about this recently, as this morning, is this program called To Be Magnetic, which is kind of like a therapy for trauma healing, and it's online. You can go to BeMagnetic.com, and There's all sorts of different courses that you can do, like the inner child, past life regression, abundance, rock bottom. There's all these different therapies, different meditations. It's like a lot of meditation and journaling. I also have another friend from Berlin who I told about this, and it's really changed her life as well. And she is thriving and looking gorgeous and happy and radiant in Bali. She's, my friend Mary from Berlin. She's amazing. I will tag her in this as well if you would like to follow her journey. But it's a really great program. My sister Casey actually kind of led me to it and got me into it and got me set up with it, and it has been really transformative, and just, it's amazing all the things that just come out that you've been just pushing down. We spend a lifetime, most of us, I think, just pushing things down, and eventually, like, we have to be able to release those things in order to grow. So check it out. It's a really, really awesome program, and can be really beneficial if you're experiencing any sort of trauma, or if you have experienced any sort of trauma in your life. So now we're on the final card, where we read, basically it's supposed to tie the entire reading together, and we'll read each image, whether they have made a connection or not. We still have like half of an image. So we'll read the image in the position that it's in, and then you're also supposed to read it in the first position, which is supposed to kind of be like the outcome of whatever the situation is. So, can you see this? It's starting to get quite dark. Can you see? This is my Shakti mat. I don't know. Yeah, it looks like a torture device, but it's like an acupressure mat, and it has all these tiny little spikes on it. And you lay on it on your back. It's kind of like it's like the bed of nails philosophy, but you lay on it, and basically you have all these pressure points all over your body, and so it's supposed to kind of like acupuncture, sort of, where you use these needles to relieve pressure that is built up in certain points of your body. So it's really good, like if you have back issues, which I do. I lay on it. I got the advanced one because I really like deep tissue massages, and I can handle. I have a strong back, and I can handle a lot. I also have like zero circulation in my back. So anyways, I really like it. And the first time I laid on it, it recommends 20 minutes on your back. And I almost wanted to get off of it. It was really intense, but after a couple minutes, you start relaxing into it, and we'll start like feeling the blood flowing into your back. So the second day I did it, I was already doing it for an hour, and now I often fall asleep on it. It's pretty amazing. So shout out to Shakti mats. I've been telling everybody about them because I really, really think they're great. So again, we are on the final card. I don't know if you can see it or not, but actually let me do this. Here. So the first picture is the anchor at the top. So the anchor symbolizes stability or hindrance. So it could be either stability or hindrance. It is a middle influence card, so I'd say like 1 to 4 months, roughly. The anchor refers to stability. Sailors use the anchor to secure their boats once they have reached a safe harbor. In the first two positions, the picture tells you that you have reached a safe haven in your life. Your love relationships, home, or work are safe, giving you protection and stability. Anchors can also be a hindrance, preventing movement. In the last two positions, this picture suggests you may have doubts or have actually chosen a wrong place to anchor. So we have it in position 3. Which says disillusionment with the ideal, doubts. You don't know if you have chosen the right place to put your anchor down. This card often comes up if you have problems with the situation or have reached an impasse in your life. I think that just totally refers to those people who have decided to do this self-work, like all of you that might be tuning in every single week. And you might, if I told you once you're awakened, it's really hard to go back to sleep. And you might be at a point in your life where you feel like it says disillusionment with the ideal. And we're talking about the box a lot. And the ideal, I think, is this ideal way of living and way that you're supposed to be that society has created. And if you've been doing all this work, you might be like really second guessing all of that right now. And that can be a scary thing because it's like everything you know is going to be turned, your world's going to be turned upside down. And that's what it is to have an emotional upheaval and a spiritual awakening. Is you have to be willing to accept that everything that you're living and thinking and feeling right now could be a total farce that you've created for yourself to fit in that proverbial box that you have the idea that exists because you've been told since you were born that it exists. So it can be like a really intense, it often is for anyone who's gone through it or started the process. It can be a really intense process, and oftentimes it's easy to want to just turn your back and run away and retreat back into the life that you're used to just because it's comfortable. But then we go back into the cycle of just feeding off of fear and living a life that's based off of fear and not connecting to our authentic selves, and not getting to our true reason for being and reason for existence. And we're not allowing ourselves to walk down the paths that were intended for us. We're ignoring the signs and the symbols, and we become complacent in our lives. And a lot of people do that, and then they die, and then they come back and they do it again. And it's, it becomes an endless cycle. And at some point, your soul and your spirit have to have that awakening and that upheaval in order to reach enlightenment. So, the next image, I always forget to do this, but let's read it in position 1. Oh, and I didn't even finish reading it because I got off on a tangent. So the important thing to remember when you get this picture is that it doesn't tell you that you have done something wrong, only that you're disappointed that it isn't the way you envisioned it to be. It's a time to re-examine your priorities, to look at your life from all angles, to see if you have made some mistakes that have led you to this disillusioned period. Have you put down your anchor prematurely or in the wrong place? This is not a time to wallow in self-pity, but to do some constructive thinking. It's a time to pull up the anchor and begin solving the problem in a new, creative way. The disillusionment will not last forever unless you let it. Let that sink in. The disillusionment will not last forever unless you let it. So, you do have free will, and, like I said, you can sit in your life the way that it is and ignore the signs and just tell yourself that everything's fine, and you just want to keep, you've already been living this life, so you're just going to keep on living it. Or you allow yourself to have the experience of the awakening, no matter how rude it is. Allow yourself to go through it and to feel every feeling that it makes you feel. And you won't be able to go back. You'll just want to keep moving forward and keep learning and keep growing. So in position 1, the anchor says, this is supposed to be kind of like the outcome of the situation. You have success in love. You are loved. This is a true love, one that makes you feel safe and comfortable. This card usually refers to romantic love, but it can also refer to anyone else who provides a loving haven for you. All too often, people seek romantic love and ignore the real love that is around them because it doesn't fit their preconceived image. When this picture comes up, look around you to see who is offering love to you. By being loving yourself, you can fully enjoy the safe haven the anchor provides. And I think it's also not about being loving yourself, but about loving yourself. You can be the anchor. If you love yourself, you can really put that down anywhere. And then like we said before, you have to love yourself before you can truly, completely love anybody else. So I think it's so important to do this work first, or whatever situation has happened to inspire you to do it, before you move on to the next thing. If you have this idea that you want to learn more about yourself, then do it. Because again, like once you really learn who you are and how to love yourself as you are, your authentic self that lives within you, that is not based on anybody else's ideas or philosophies, but only on the inner truths that only you yourself know, you and the source. That is, I think that's the key to unlocking all the other things is, learning to do all those things, and learning to do those things and loving yourself, you will have success in the rest of your life and in your love life and in other aspects of your life. So the next image, is the birds. I have no idea if you saw that, so I try, I really do. Birds. Period of influence is immediate, so something that just happened or is about to happen. Be prepared. Freedom from responsibility. Birds suggest freedom of flight. They have no worries or cares to hold them down. A bird is free to soar the heights that we cannot obtain by ourselves. It can fly and enjoy itself. It can look down from above at the world below it. For us, it is just as important to let go and be like the bird, flying smoothly and easily in the air, landing only when we want to. Birds are nature's friends. They signify freedom and unconstrained joy. They remind us of our free soul, unrestrained by the rules of our civilization. I smile because whenever I think about birds and like birds in formation, I know you all think I'm silly, but I think about this time when Alan Rickman was on Star Talk with Neil deGrasse Tyson, and Neil was asking him if there was anything, I think, I might be misquoting this, but something like he was asking if there was anything in nature that kind of like fascinated him. And Alan had said he always was very fascinated and would catch himself watching bird formations and just how they perfectly, swoop and glide and just seem to all be in the same pattern and know exactly what to do, exactly what they need to do. And the interesting thing that Neil deGrasse Tyson said was that the birds are just mimicking each other. It's basically like a follow the leader, like the bird in front is seeing the bird in front of it. So I guess at least one of the birds knows plans what they're doing. I don't know. But that they're basically, it's just like, they're just mimicking what the bird in front of them is doing. And to our eye, it just looks so seamless. Which kind of, thinking about that, brings us back to that proverbial box, in that us as humans, you know, we see another human doing something and we immediately want to do that too, because we like the person or we admire them, or for whatever reason it is, or because we think it'll make us cool. So we tend to kind of follow the leader, in the human race as well. And, for some reason, it's just, I think it's just ingrained in us from the time that we're born, is what society expects us to be, what we're expected to be as men or as women, or whatever, you know. That is something that is hard to get away from. And I think, when we start just wanting to be like everybody else, that's the beginnings of losing our authenticity. And that's what we want to get back, because, what matters is how authentic our lives are. None of the other stuff matters. So now whenever I see bird formations or I think about birds, I think about Alan Rickman. I might think about him other times too, probably more often than most, but he's an inspiring person to me and somebody that I admired a lot. So there's a lot of things that I do draw from, just conversations I've heard with him, or interviews or films, or whatever. So yeah, thanks for putting up with me, I guess. But it means something to me. So anyways, back to birds. I'm just rambling. So we have it in position 2, which says an unexpected pleasure. Perhaps unexpected company will drop by, or you will decide at the last moment to do something and it will turn out well. Like the birds, we must learn to be carefree at times, to forget our obligations and simply have a good time. Stop doing the dishes and go to the movies with your spouse, children, or friends. Do something that's spontaneous. It will bring you pleasure. You know, we try so hard to like plan every little detail of our lives, and you know, that's also something that makes our lives more mundane, and we have to sometimes just go with the flow and you know, remember to just be open and receptive to all the signs and symbols that the universe, that the source, that the higher power shows us. You know, it's just let loose. Like, don't take yourself so seriously all the time. In doing that, in position 1, the image represents joy, merriment, happiness, celebration, good times. The picture in this position refers to present circumstances or one of short duration. It could be an achievement, a promotion, a new job or apartment, or simply a reunion with good friends that makes you happy. As 2 birds are shown, it's a good time to spend with friends. Any social activity will run smoothly with everyone having a good time. The point is, do something special so that good times will be remembered. You know, don't be fearful. Don't be afraid to be with the people that you love and care about, because, you know, we don't know. Life is short and it could be taken away from us at any time, and we don't know the next time that we might, you know, see somebody. And we shouldn't be living in fear and living in a way that dictates, that we allow society to dictate, or whoever is in power to dictate, like, our own free will and who we can and can't be around and see. And so I think if you drop the fear and you just let loose and you allow yourself to just be and exist, you will find that you will have a lot more joy and merriment and pleasure in your life. And then the very final image is the ring. I don't know about the ring. That represents marriage. don't know about all that. I did miss another card, actually. I'll go back to it. We'll do the ring since I already read that, and then we'll go back. So the ring, the period of influence is middle, so like 1 to 4 months. Symbolizes the relationship between two people. The ring is a symbol of the commitment of two people to a lasting relationship. It symbolizes the union of two people in one entity. This does not mean that each person loses his or her own personal identity. Instead, by each retaining their own selves, they form a new union that is stronger than that of the two separate beings. In the cards, the ring usually refers to a relationship or to a relationship between people that are in love. However, it can also refer to other strong relationships that a person has. So we have it in position 1, which says the ring symbolizes the union of two people in a marriage or agreement. If the person whose cards are being read is single, then this picture says that this is a good time for marriage. If the person isn't involved in a relationship already, then it means that this is a good time to carefully look around you, because the possibility of meeting someone that you can fall in love with and marry are good. For those who are married, the picture means that this is a good period in your marriage, a time when you are truly one with your partner. Sometimes this picture appears to people who are in the middle of serious marital problems. The picture tells you that what you are arguing about is worthwhile and that the resolution will lead to an even stronger marriage bond. It will move you to a new plateau in your relationship, past the 7-year itch, to a mutual understanding and appreciation of your union. Have you heard of the 7-year itch? I love that movie with Marilyn Monroe. It's like one of my favorites. I haven't watched it in quite a long time. But saying like, after 7 years of like being married to someone, it's just this common like feeling like trapped and wanting to get out of it and like reassessing your life and all that. But anyways, it's a really great film that Marilyn Monroe is in. For other strong relationships, it means that you are in agreement with the other person on important matters. So, I just think like, you never know like who is around you. I think in this day and age, we often like force relationships. And some people it works and it's great, but with all these dating websites, like we try to, force ourselves with another person. And I really believe in just like, again, not planning things and things happening organically. Whatever that is for you, maybe you got the sign that the person that you were supposed to meet was online or whatever. So it's different for every single person. But, I think it's just, again, just being open to receive. And if you're in a position where that's something that you're calling into your life, then be open to receive it. And, don't have ideas or don't get tied, I guess, to your ideas or expectations of what you think you want, because when we do that, we might be missing out on some real great opportunities. So, talk to people, get to know your neighbors. This is a great time for that. You never know. You never know if, I think there's always people out there that we're supposed to meet, no matter what type of relationship it is. But there's people that cross our paths that, we're intended either they're going to be on our path briefly, or maybe they're going to be on our path for the long haul. You never know. And there's all sorts of people that come into our paths every single day. So, just be aware of what that might mean, and learn whatever you can from those people, whether it's for a short period of time or for a lifetime. Okay, so let's get back to the scythe, which is the one that, I don't know if you can see that. That's the one that I missed. So I'm going to go back and talk about the scythe, which is an immediate to life. So it could be something that's happening right now or something that spans across your entire life, and it is representing fate upsetting your life. This picture refers to forces outside your control. Like the scythe that cuts long grass, a force is working on sabotaging your life. Those who are familiar with the theory of karma and reincarnation in Hinduism might interpret the picture in referring to misconduct in past lives that you are paying for in this life. The picture can be interpreted from this viewpoint, or it can simply be interpreted from the viewpoint that in nature, bad things counterbalance good things. Night follows day. During some parts of your life, bad things will happen, and you should learn to accept them when they occur. And that is kind of something that we're going through, and something that I have been talking about and teaching for the duration of these readings is that, I even talked about it earlier in this reading, is that there's a great planetary shift happening, and this happens every so often. Things have to die in order for them to be reborn. We have to let go of one way of living and understanding things into a new period of existence. It's something, nature has a way of balancing itself out always, because nature exists in balance and harmony. So just know, like I've told you before, that things might seem a certain way, but everything just has to run its course as it will. And the higher power, the source, God, whatever it is you believe in, will take care of all the rest. So there's no need to live in fear when you have that philosophy. The scythe being held by Father Time, a symbol we see on New Year's Eve, symbolizes the end of the old. When the scythe mows down the wheat, grass, or weeds, it clears the land for new growth. At the same time, it clears your path of vision. A fresh start is possible. And that is definitely what the entire world needs, is a fresh start. So it's really important to listen to that, to tune in. So in position 4, it represents a quarrel. This could be a quarrel in the family, with friends, associates, or at the workplace. It's not something that you will start but will be dragged into. Keep your wits about you. Listen more than talk. In this way, you can walk out of the situation with the least amount of damage to yourself or others. Remember, the scythe clears out a lot of the old, enabling a fresh start. In the same way, a quarrel can clear out a lot of old repressed feelings and make possible a new start. And remember to respond, not react. Allow yourself to process things. I think there's a lot of shame being spread around right now, which I've talked about a couple weeks ago. Just shaming each other for not having the same views and opinions. I think the mass majority of people, and the people that are living in fear, are the people that just get their info off the news or from the government, and just don't really do any research and just spout it back out there. And if anybody disagrees with what they're saying, then they immediately the blinders come on, and there's no listening to any other points of view. So that could be something that I've been feeling lately, that I've just kind of tried to stand back and not allow myself to respond or to react to that in the ways that I might have in the past, and just let it go. We all have different ideas and different opinions of what is best for our own lives. So it's really, when we're shaming each other, all of that is just distractions, and all of those things are stopping you from leading your most authentic life. So in position 1, evil fate pursues you. It is nothing that you can do anything about. All that you can do is accept it and live with it. This cannot change. Sorry. It cannot change the past, but it can change your feelings towards the past. Once one is reconciled with what is, then this picture appears less often, if at all. The picture may also refer to an evil person who has entered your life. Try not to antagonize the person and seek help from legal sources if that's something that's necessary. But I think that's kind of in that situation would be the outcome with this quarrel if we don't stand back and allow ourselves to respond to the situation and we just react to it. It can lead to a lot worse things that just really are unnecessary because we allowed ourselves to respond negatively to something. Some people, you're never going to change their mind and you're never going to change their viewpoints. So it's important to choose your battles and don't waste your hate. As Nako says, don't waste your hate, rather gather and create. Sometimes it's just not worth it. Save your energy, allow yourself to respond so that you can come back with a solution instead of just creating or adding more to the problem, basically. So that sums up all of the images, and I guess for me, just thinking about the question, which again was, how do we collectively move from a fear-based way of thinking to a more awakened and constructive way of thinking? What is the spark that will light the fire under our asses, so to speak? How do we become more aligned with our authentic selves? And my answer, just based on all of the cards or all of the images that we connected today, is just by being true to ourselves and dropping the facade. That's ultimately, that is the way. That is the entrance to the path, is dropping the facade and being true to ourselves and allowing ourselves to experience all of the emotions and the feelings and the past traumas and just everything that we've experienced in our lives, so that we can decide what we want to release and what we want to continue to hold on to. So I want to leave you with a quote that resonated with me today, and I think really went along with today's theme, which is, everyone is on a spiritual path. Everyone is on a spiritual path. Most people just don't know it. The spiritual journey is the unlearning of fear and the acceptance of love. Marianne Williamson. So meditate on that and think about that and what it means to you. Until next time, namaste. See you next week.